Hi there, thanks for joining me today. So, I have been reading this great comic on Webtoon. It's a website that publishes a ton of really cool comics and cartoons. And one that I absolutely love is called Lore Olympus. It's about the story of Hades and Persephone and how they get together, but as if everything was set in a modern time. And it's just really cute. It's a very distinct art style, and I just love it. There is an outfit that Persephone wears that I just fell in love with. I absolutely had to have this dress when I saw it. I'm gonna try and put it right here, so yeah. Anyways, it's really cute. It's a mini dress, and it's got these giant puffy sleeves, and when I saw it, I was just like, I need... So, I've decided today to try and recreate that dress. Let's see how it turns out.
Alright, so I started this by taking a bodycon dress that I already had and marked it out on some wrapping paper. I know a lot of people have special pattern paper for this, but since I'm just getting back into sewing, I don't have any yet, so I'm using wrapping paper. I'm connecting dots here along the side because I can't draw a straight line, so this was a real easy way for me to get a nice smooth line. And I only traced half of it because I knew I was going to cut it on the fold. So once I had marked down the middle, we were all done with the dress part. I then cut out a sleeve doing the same thing. I just traced it off of a shirt and then doubled that up. And then cut another section out of the sleeve so that I could make a billowy top part of the sleeve as well. So basically I just made a sleeve pattern and then traced the top half of it onto more wrapping paper. Then I made marks down the center and sides of the billowy sleeve. It's called a bishop sleeve. So that I could split those and add more volume to the sleeve while keeping the top, which would fit my arm side, correctly. There's a cool tutorial on this that I found online, and I'll just link that down below in the description box. Once I had gotten all my pieces cut out, I taped more paper underneath them to spread out those slices of pattern, and then we have a wider bottom sleeve.
Emmett, I love you. Emmett, I love you so much.
Okay, so now we're cutting everything out. You're going to need 2 of the bottom half of your sleeve, a front and back piece for your dress, as well as 2 of the bishop sleeves. I gave everything about probably an 1.5 inch seam allowance, and that turned out to be too much. Because I think I even cut outside the seam allowance. I was so nervous about this being too tight and having to cut out everything again. So you would probably be fine with less seam allowance than that. Alright, then I just pinned the shoulders and the sides together and sewed those for the dress. Backstitching at both ends. All the stitches I used for this project were zigzag stitches. Zigzag stitches are great for stretchy fabrics, and they really give you a lot more control. There's a zigzag stitch of the bottom part of the sleeve. And then I've rolled up the hem in order to hem it with also a zigzag stitch. noticed how the sleeves were fitting. They are looser at the top, and that's something that I never fixed, but I think I might want to now. Here we're just hemming the sleeve, doing again that same zigzag right over the top of the rolled over fabric. I'd say I've probably got a full inch of fabric rolled over here. I made my sleeves a little bit extra long on purpose. This is the side of our bishop sleeve. You're just going to zigzag that together. And remember to press all your seams after you've sewn them. Now I'm gathering the bottom of the bishop sleeve so I can put it on top of the regular sleeve too. And I did this by hand. I wasn't sure if a stretchy fabric would be easy to do like a running stitch with the machine. Alright, so it's really hard to tell, I didn't film this great, but it is now being pinned onto the bottom straight sleeve to make that poof. And I just sewed over my basting thread. That probably wasn't the best thing. I left it in the dress, basically. In the future, I'm going to take out that basting thread just so you don't really see it. I mean, I've trimmed it all away, so it looks fine on the finished product, but I'll probably just be a little bit more detail-oriented in the future. Alright, so we've got that all pinned and gathered, and now I'm just popping it through my machine. I've taken off the front part so that I can sew it easier. Oh, there's my shoulder. My shoulder. Wow, girl spent a lot of time on this sleeve. Zigzag, zigzag. Zigzag. I found that I had to adjust these ripples a lot as I sewed to make sure that they would be straight and not all fold over each other. I'm really sorry, I forgot to show putting the sleeve onto the dress, but it was pretty straightforward. Okay, what I am doing now is I am getting the measurement of the neckline. And that was 16, but I am actually only going to cut 15 inches for my little neckline tube of fabric. There it is. It's a little bit easier to attach it with the stretchy fabrics if your actual if your collar, wow, is a little bit shorter. So I sewed that together and then pressed all the seams open. And I'm also pressing the seams open for the sleeves, anything else I haven't done yet. Going back to the collar, I took it and quartered it using the back seam, the one seam that we have in it, as a guide. So first pin the back, then fold it in half, lined up the back and the front so you know where the center is, and then pin the two folded sides. This is going to help me determine where to put it on the dress because we're going to do the same thing there. This is called quartering. So I've started with the shoulders and then found the center front and can easily find the center back from there. After that, it was pretty quick to just pop this on with a zigzag stitch, making sure I got both of the layers of the collar. Oops, that's inside out. There we go. So as you can see with the quartering, you know exactly where to pin. After I'd gotten that on, I realized the dress was way longer than I wanted it to be, so I just marked it with some chalk and did a couple sit-down chests to see if that was where I wanted it. Then I trued up the line with my ruler and cut it about an inch down from my measurement. And hem that with a zigzag stitch. To finish up the project, I used pinking shears, and here is our dress.
Alright, we're done. All in all, I think that the outfit turned out pretty well. I really like the sleeves. They did have that sort of shape that I was going for. And this dress is really comfy. I've been wearing it all day so far, and I've felt good with the length. It stretches easily. It's easy to move in. I'm very happy with this project overall. Some things that I think I could do differently in the future are maybe not being too careful with seam allowance. I gave myself a lot of seam allowance so that the fit is just a little bit loose in areas like the waist and even the sleeves. The straighter part of the sleeves are just a little bit looser than I think maybe they ought to be, but the nice part about that is I can always take it in. I kind of want to wear it a few times and see how it feels and then make that decision. All in all, I think it turned out really nicely. It's such a good feeling to have like something new that you've made yourself. It's less expensive. It just feels really good. So thank you so much for coming along on this sewing journey with me today. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to see more content. Thanks so much. Bye.